talk to us. Andreas is very well known, mostly to the German readership, very well known critical commentator and journalist for the Swiss Neue Zürcher Zeitung, and he's also their correspondent for Southeastern Europe based in Belgrade. And you've been here at this conference for the last 2 days, and you've seen most of the presentations, heard what people were saying, and I was wondering whether you could tell us a bit more of a personal account of your perception of the centennial in Serbia, being based in Belgrade, and how you interpret this politicization of Gavrilo Princip and World War One.
Mm-hmm. Well, indeed, Gavrilo Princip, I think, is one of the most interesting aspects of this discussion, and what I found interesting is that, of course, on the one hand, you have this juxtaposition of Gavrilo Princip being a freedom fighter, especially in Serbia, and on the other hand, a terrorist for many people in Bosnian Federation or also in Croatia. But I think that in the very recent past, this picture of Gavrilo Princip is somehow pluralized, so that there are different interpretations besides these two. And my impression is that from a certain leftist perspective, Gavrilo Princip is being recognized again as something new, as a figure of identification for something like a new Yugoslav idea, and more from a class perspective, as a hero, not in his capacity as being Serb, but as a hero, as being a figure of liberation against colonial or now neo-colonial structure, which of course is maybe more virulent in Bosnia than in Serbia. But I think this new way of dealing with Gavrilo Princip was one of the things which I found most interesting in this debate.
Okay, interesting. A lot of people were also mentioning certain parallels in between 1914 and 2014. The general situation, political, economic. We're dealing with a stronger, globally polarized geopolitical situation. We're dealing with new kinds of wars on Europeans' Eastern Front, so to say. Are we witnessing some sort of a 1913 moment today in Europe? Or do you think this is just historians and memory entrepreneurs trying to get us hyped up about the centennial and selling their books?
Well, it's a very difficult question. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that history repeats itself every 100 years. So I think it's indeed more induced by the fact that it's 100 years ago that the First World War started. But nevertheless, for instance, the Clark's book, which made a lot of headlines in Serbia especially, but of course also in Germany, I think it shows, well, not the book itself, but the perception of the book, and the huge success it had and the huge debates it provoked in Germany and Serbia, I think might be an indicator that, talking about Germany now first, that this country is looking for a new position in Europe, and that this success might be explained partly by this. Of course, it's also a very interesting and a very good, very well written book, but I think the success of this book cannot be explained only by the book, but also by the situation the country or the society is in. And there, I think it might be possible that this new role Germany is looking for, in a way, makes the society perceptive for a book which gives a new narrative on the outbreak and of the question of guilt regarding the First World War.
Okay. And the situation in Serbia, because you were referring
well,
to...
in Serbia, I think there the reaction it provoked was mostly due to the fact that the First World War, especially since the 90s, as we heard several times now in the conference, the First World War is one of the how to put it, of the most important narratives for Serbian national identity, and the perception that this book declares Serbia being guilty for the outbreak of the First World provoked a very strong reaction. Though I think most people haven't read the book because it hasn't been translated at the time into Serbo-Croatian. So, and there I must say I'm rather a bit disappointed about the public discourse, because it was very schematic and very often not going into details, and therefore I'm also quite happy being here in this conference, because here we could see much more differentiated positions supporting or also being against this general thesis of Christopher Clark.
Yes, there has been quite, you're not the first one even to mention in the interviews Christopher Clark's book, and there has been also, you know, if you could talk about that as well, quite some criticism about the book itself. Whilst most of the people haven't read the book, I dare to say that most of the people here at the conference have read the book and are actually quite critical of some of the standpoints that Clark is arguing with. What's your take on the book itself?
I think my criticism would focus on the role he gives to the Balkans. I mean, first of all, I think it is very good and new to include the Balkans in the way he does this. But then what I didn't find very convincing is that he portrays this young Bosnian movements as an instrument of the, so to say, Serbian deep state, of the Serbian secret service, and he doesn't portray this movement as something as a political subject. It's a political object of these services, which use it as an instrument to make this assassination. And I think a deeper look at the situation in Bosnia, which was at the time occupied by Austro-Hungary, would have shown that the roots of this movement and the reasons why at the end they make this assassination are in Bosnia and not in Serbia. So I think to give another aspect, that the way he portrays the Austro-Hungary and its role in Bosnia, I think is too positive, and it's you cannot explain if you see this empire as a first of all as a modernizing force. It's then hard to understand why you have this kind of resistance movements, which led at the end of the day to the assassination, which can be explained. And this is again why I like this new definition of Gavrilo Princip, to kind of anti-colonial resistance.
Okay, well, thank you very much for this critical review, almost, of Christopher Clark's book, and thank you very much for agreeing for this interview. I hope you had a pleasant time in Graz and you've learned as much as all of us did on memorialization of World War I and World War I itself in the region, and I hope to see you soon in Graz.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.